Hey y'all, welcome in, and in some cases, welcome back. This is our 31 Days of Prevention series, and it's our opportunity to come together to share information, inspiration, and motivation to increase awareness and prevent future and ongoing domestic violence. My name is Marci Batiste, the founder and executive director of 9 Seconds. We are a progressive nonprofit organization. We have a heart centered mission and a non traditional approach to domestic violence prevention, ensuring that women here in Arizona in particular, but all around the world, are afforded the tools and the resources that they need to secure their health, safety, and success while simultaneously meeting our overreaching objective, which is to alter the trajectory of domestic violence here in our state. That being said, today is a continuation of the series that we've been on all the month of October in light of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I'm excited today because it's the first day that it's not 127 degrees here in Arizona, and I'm able to wear a long sleeve shirt and a hoodie, and I'm super excited about that. But that's neither here nor there. The message for today that I want to talk to y'all about. I was reading Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, which, if you've not read this book, it is a phenomenal book. It's a great inside look at, we tend to put celebrities on some sort of a pedestal and think that they don't have just real life human experiences. And she does an amazing job in her memoir detailing for you all of her human experiences as a woman, as a Black woman, as a resident in the south side of Chicago, which at one point in time was a marginalized community. And for those of you who know me, like women, children, marginalized communities, that's my heartbeat. That's where my pulse is. So I absolutely love this book. But she said something in the book that I wanted to share with you all. And she said what she said in this book. She said, it's hard to hate up close. It's hard to hate up close. And I loved that from the moment that I read it. She was talking about her tour as Barack was being, as he was running for the presidency. And she was speaking in particular about her experiences of traveling around the country campaigning on her husband's behalf. And what was happening was she was getting great feedback and great results. For instance, obviously Iowa hosts the primaries. And so she was doing a lot of work in my home state of Iowa, and she was getting great response, great feedback, very positive. And then after he won Iowa and moved on to the New Hampshire primaries, and they're really looking at him now as a contender for the presidency. And so her audience size is growing. So when she was in Iowa, she was speaking in small groups in people's homes, maximum of about 25 to sometimes 50 or maybe 100 people, sometimes 300 people. But once he won Iowa, her reach was expanded to be in auditoriums of thousands of people. And all of a sudden, she's being crucified from everything from the type of shoes that she wears to what her dress looks like to how she speaks to the fact that she's Harvard and Princeton educated, but yet and still, as a Black woman, she gets still labeled the angry Black woman, like she's got an attitude. All of these things, they're just human experiences that all of us can relate to. Particularly as Black women, we can relate to those human experiences. But being dragged about her dress or the type of shoes that she had on or things like that, other than Barack's tan suit, nobody was really worrying about what he was wearing. And for the most part, nobody worries about what men wear in general. As long as they have a suit on, nobody cares who the designer is. Nobody cares how much he paid for it. Nobody cares what type of wallet is in his pocket. But for a woman, it matters. The handbag, the shoes, the pattern of the dress, etc. And so she's detailing all of this. And so when they were trying to figure out how or where, what happened, what was the shift, and she realized that in the small venues she did very well, but in the larger ones she was struggling, even though the message was the same. The ability to convey the message, what she was saying, how she was saying it was the same. She was it's she was being perceived differently in the larger auditoriums than she was in these small groups. Hence, it's hard to hate up close. And I can relate to that on so many levels. As when I was a bank executive, and I would onboard new employees. At the time, I was managing a customer service team. They were doing telephone banking, and I would send. They were providing the back end support for the frontline relationship bankers, and I would have my phone team, my phone bankers, go out to the branches and sit with different branch representatives. And I did that because it's hard to be rude to someone you know. You're less likely to just go off on and treat people any kind of way if you personally have met that person. There's a certain humanity that comes from engaging, and that's why even doing videos versus typewritten content, it makes a difference. There's a certain level of connection, and so even when you go from written to video, there's a shift, and then when you take it from video to in person, there's a shift, and then there's a further shift, whether it's small group, large group, etc., one-on-one. Different experiences, all with the same individuals in some case, but it's perceived differently because we hold people to a different standard. Okay, what does this have to do with domestic violence? Why am I going into this whole big thing? And this is the thing. For many of you, for years, I have shared very, sometimes triggering photos. I've shared very transparent posts about my journey, my experience with domestic violence, my experience with molestation, a whole lot of very personal, very intimate details about my life. Those are my experiences. That is part of my human experience. This all comes back to domestic violence because, it's easy to look at a statistic and brush it off. It's easy to say, in a year, on average, over 400,000 women are either abused or assaulted. Every 9 seconds, in fact, a woman is either abused or assaulted in this country. Those statistics, while maybe shocking, tend to roll off because if it's not happening in your house, in your family, then you have no immediate connection to it. And so I share the things that I share so transparently and so frequently because I want people to have a human connection to the mission. I want you to understand that domestic violence doesn't have a face. It doesn't have a race. I shared that yesterday. It's a human issue. And so because it's a human issue, we have to have a human response. It's hard to hate up close. It's hard to be dismissive with someone you know. It's hard to not give a shit when it's somebody that you know. All of a sudden, something that you never cared about before, all of a sudden you care about it. It's across the board with everything. I mean, it can be as simple as you never noticed all of the white cars in traffic until you got a white car, right? Now all of a sudden you see white cars everywhere. It's hard to hate up close. It's hard to dismiss the truth when you have a face with the statistic. It's hard to ignore that someone that has gone through this, and in fact, it's definitely true. I can tell you firsthand, when people I know personally, we've had conversations about domestic violence, etc., and so on. They've seen pictures of other women, they've seen statistics, they've seen all of that. I've shared all of that, but something happened when I shared my pictures. All of a sudden, it was different for them. All of a sudden, it meant something a little bit more. it took on a little deeper meaning. And so when I encourage folks to speak up and speak out, especially if you are someone who has gotten out of an abusive relationship, have successfully navigated your way from being inside the relationship to now being able to kind of look back on it, even if you're still in the recovery process, even if you're still in the healing process, being able to communicate your experience, tell your story, and allow people to hear you sometimes for the first time. I guarantee you that I can tell a story about my abuse, and while it may touch someone in your family, hearing your specific story is going to touch them in a deeper and different way than hearing my story. And so it's important, and I'm gonna do some interviews coming up probably next week. We're gonna probably record them sometime the end of this week with other women who have survived domestic violence, and I want to share different perspectives because even our team here at 9 Seconds, all of our programs, everything are created by survivors for survivors with the goal of going from survivor to champion. We want you to be all the way out. We want you to be healed, healthy, whole, happy, and successful. That's what being a domestic violence champion is about. And I say that so you all understand that when we create a program here, or even with these videos, there's constantly an intentionality that's running in the background, that's driving this train, that's moving the mission forward, that's engaging all of our team to stay focused on what our overall objectives are. But to do that and to make the most impact, we need everyone to be able to start telling their story. And if you're somebody, this is the person that I'm talking to today. If you're someone who has been through domestic violence, is going through domestic violence, maybe you're even someone who has been accused of domestic violence, this is a safe space. This is a safe place. No judgment, no shade. This is all about recovery. This is all about healing. This is about prevention. It's about keeping it from happening to someone else. And so what we find out oftentimes is that depending on the type of situation, you can start out being abused, and before you are even aware of what's happened, you can find yourself as an abuser in the eyes of the law. Okay? A whole other subject, it goes deep, but the point of that is that we all have these different experiences with abuse. We all have these different layers of what's going on and what's happening in our lives and so forth and so on. But to be able to tell the story. So to that person, to that individual, I'm asking you, from one survivor champion to the next, to share your story. There's somebody who needs your story specifically in order for them to have the courage to start making moves and to start making changes and to begin to shift and find their way out of the darkness and into the light. Somebody who's not going to resonate with me for whatever reason. They might not like the sound of my voice, they might not like my hair, whatever. They're going to resonate with you in a way that I can't get to them. And so we need all of the voices. And so I'm offering anyone out there who's watching this video, if you have a story and you want to have your story told, if you want a platform to tell your story, let me help you do that. Let me help you do that. We can set up there's a different options that we can do. Just reach out to me. Either you can either hit me by going to our website at 9seconds.org. You can go to marcibatiste.com. You can reach me on my YouTube channel. You can reach me on LinkedIn. You can reach me on Facebook, or you can send me an email directly at marcibatiste@gmail.com. I want to hear your story. I want us to share your story. I want us to start moving the needle and changing the trajectory on domestic violence. We have to take that 9 seconds and get it out of here. We got to get rid of that. It can't keep happening at that rate. That's 7 women every minute. That's absolutely not acceptable. But I need your help. We here at 9 seconds need your help. So please remember, it's hard to hate up close. It's hard to be dismissive of someone that you know. So please be willing to share your story. If you're afraid to do it, you want to do it anonymously, reach out to me. I will help you get your story told. We will get the message out there, and we together will save people's lives. That's my message for today. As always, if you hear something, share something in particular today, please, 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 please share this video out. I really, truly want to help some women and men tell their stories. I want you to tell your story. I'll help you be the conduit to do that. So please, if you're watching this, you're within the sound of my voice, the look of my face, I'm pleading with you to share this video out, and invite you to tell your story. So in the meantime and in between time, y'all, I'll be back tomorrow with another message. But please stay well, stay blessed, and most importantly, stay safe. Take care.